Hi, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Plymouth. I am your host and your town manager, Derek Brindisi. This afternoon, we have our town clerk, Kelly McElreath, with us here today. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, when's the last time you were here?
I think I was here with you. I think it was in the fall as an introduction of me just coming here in July, and we were in the midst of the fall state election, so it was a busy time.
Yeah, so actually you should be here probably 2 or 3 times a year to talk about town meeting preparation, town election preparation.
Absolutely. It's a great.
So, which is a good segue to what we're going to talk about. So we have town meeting begins April 1st.
Yep.
And this is the first time that we know of in the state of Massachusetts that there's actually going to be a hybrid town meeting.
That's correct.
And I think that legislation, was that the legislation we filed in October, right? Or
yes, it was passed at the October fall town meeting, and we submitted it, and our state reps, state senator and state rep were really good at getting it passed and signed by Governor Baker before he left office. So it was put into place early January. So we've been able to plan for this town meeting since then.
And so here we are, the first hybrid town meeting in Massachusetts. We know that there may be some bumps along the road, given that the first time we're doing this, but there's a lot of build-up and preparation in advance of town meeting, and there are actually instructions specifically for town meeting members and residents who want to participate. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that so folks are aware?
Sure. So town meeting members, as you know, we have 162 of them in Plymouth. Who have been elected over the last year, and they have been given notification that they need, if they want, that we are assuming that they are participating in person at Plymouth North High School on Oberry Street, unless they contact myself as well as the assistant town moderator, although Nicole and I have been comparing lists, that they want to participate remotely. When I left the office, I added the 19th town meeting member that had requested to participate remotely. We're asking all town meeting members to do that by this Friday, March 24th, because as everyone's aware, the technology that we have to use to get this into place can be a little complicated. So we're looking for a week's notice.
So just to summarize, so if you're a town meeting member, there's 162 town meeting members. If you're a town meeting member, you want to participate remotely.
Correct.
They need to contact your office, town clerk's office,
correct,
or the assistant town moderator.
My office, and we will compare it with the assistant town moderator.
Gotcha.
So if you've contacted her, she's let me know. But in the meantime, please let me know. And on that note, just as a side note, if you're not participating in the town meeting at all, if you're away, as the charter states, you're supposed to let me know, either in writing or an email, some way to let me know that you're not going to be there, so we know who's going to be there and who's not. So just a friendly reminder on that.
So like you're the home rule teacher, you're taking attendance.
Exactly, exactly. Just like I check them in.
So for the folks that are watching this and they are town meeting members, how can they contact your office?
They can contact me with my by phone, 508-322-3301. And they can also email me at kmckelreath@plymouth-ma.gov. And if you need help spelling my name, let me know. Give me a call.
Perfect. And so that's for town meeting members. And you said we've already got 19 that are going to do this remotely.
Correct.
And I think as of this week, we've had some residents who want to participate as well. What's their process?
So the special legislation included a mechanism for registered voters, because as we all know, any registered voter can come to town meeting. It's just they cannot vote, and they have to be recognized by the moderator if they want to speak on a certain article that is being discussed at town meeting. So we did have a couple registered voters reach out to us. We are advising them to come to town meeting in person and or watch it on PAC TV. They can live stream it on PAC TV or watch it on the cable. And if there's any particular special circumstances, to definitely reach out to myself and the moderator, and we will see. But we are pretty much encouraging the registered voters not to participate remotely because it's too much confusion, at least for the first town meeting, I would say, that we're having as a hybrid.
So if I'm just a resident in town, not a town meeting member, my choices are to watch it via PAC TV.
Correct.
Or to go to the Center for Performing Arts, which is at North High School, where you could sit in attendance and observe the meeting.
Correct.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you.
So I know that OTI and PAC TV in particular have been really trying to organize this. It's going to be tricky because I know we have the V-Voter system.
Correct.
And we have the clicker system. So, you know, good luck to PAC TV and OTI to be able to coordinate this, I'm sure.
And I'm
sure they figured it all out.
Right. And I will say thank you to PAC TV and OTI for working so closely together to enable us to have this type of hybrid representative town meeting in Plymouth, because it's, you know, America's hometown. We're creating a new precedent.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's great to have folks like PAC TV, so we can just show up and they can take care of all
exactly.
the stuff. So we thank them for that. So Kelly, while I have you, and I'm not going to let you leave early on this, do we want to talk a little bit about I know a little early for the election, but the election is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We have a ballot question that's coming up. We have a number of races that seem like they're going to be very competitive this year. I want to talk a little bit about the election.
Sure. So the town election is Saturday, May 20th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And also we will have vote by mail, just like we had for the fall elections for the state. You can request a vote by mail ballot. The applications are on our website. You fill it out, send it to us. As soon as we have the printed ballots in hand, which I'm thinking will be mid-April, we will mail those ballots out, and you have until May 20th to get it back. And as you alluded to, it's a pretty heavy ballot because right now we have at least 5 people running for 2 seats on the select board. Mm-hmm. We have 1 person running for the 5-year position for the planning board, and 1 person running for the 1-year position on the planning board. And I believe we currently have 3 candidates that have returned their papers for the school committee, and 1 person for the redevelopment, the 5 years. So we'll have some contested races when it comes to what I consider the town-wide ballots. Mm-hmm. And then we have town meeting members. Many town meeting members were elected last year, or I shouldn't say many, all 9 representing all 18 precincts were elected last year, and 54 of them were elected for 1 year. So they have, we've had at least 49 people, I believe, have taken out papers out of the 54 to get their name on the ballot again for this May 20th election. And their deadline, if I can take a quick note on that one, any representative town meeting member whose term is up, if they can't, their deadline is this Friday at 5 p.m. And yes, I will be at Town Hall till 5 p.m. this Friday for you to sign the renomination document that allows us to put your name on the ballot for your precinct. But then in the meantime, for example, I believe it's Precinct 3 has 6 people running for 3 positions for town meeting members. Wow. So we will have some precincts that will have some competition on the town meeting side as well for representative town meeting, which is good to see.
I think some people say Precinct 3 is where it all began.
I believe so.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So again, if you're a town meeting member and you're up for re-election this year,
correct,
then they need to come to your office to submit their paperwork.
Correct.
By this coming Friday. So what is Friday?
The 24th.
March 24th.
But a side note for that, if you miss this Friday's deadline, you technically have until next Friday, the 31st, to come in and obtain different nomination papers, and then you have to get 10 signatures, and those are due next Friday, March 31st, 5 p.m. And again, our office will be open till 5 p.m. next Friday, March 31st, for nomination papers.
And so just again, so mail-in voting starts, you're projecting like mid-April?
So right? Candidates have until April 19th to withdraw their names from the ballot. So I just gave you the numbers on what I anticipate based on nomination papers coming back. But they have until April 19th, which is a Wednesday, to withdraw their names. Okay. So, of course, I'm not going to have the ballot company print any ballots in case somebody happens to do that.
Sure.
So I'm hoping first thing that Thursday morning, April 20th, I'll send the 18 different ballots to the company. They'll start to print them. So I'm thinking probably the following Monday, Tuesday, I'll have the ballots in hand and we'll start mailing out the vote by mail ballots that have already been requested. And keeping in mind that I think we have at least 120 of them so far. So people have been paying attention and sending that in. And
so based upon that timeline, it sounds like folks could anticipate seeing a vote by mail ballot 3rd week of April.
Correct.
And how long are you going to run that for? vote?
Vote by mail goes up until May 16th.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, it goes it goes right up before right 4 days before the
So
election.
they'll have a good 3.5, 4 weeks to do the vote by mail.
Yes.
And
yeah.
my favorite
to request it, to request the vote by mail.
Oh, to request the vote.
Right, and then they have until May 20th to get the ballot back. So they've got plenty of time. 4 weeks.
And my favorite is early voting.
Yes, that is your in-person early voting.
In-person, right.
Yes, that is your favorite.
When do we know when that's going to start?
Yeah, so that starts, I'm just going to explain a little bit on why it's a little bit more complicated. The state law states you can't have in-person early voting within 48 hours of the election. And because Plymouth has its election on a Saturday,
Right.
I have to stop it the Wednesday before. So,
Okay.
you know, when it was the state and they vote on Tuesdays, you stop it on Friday and you're all good.
Makes sense.
So that being said, I'm starting it Thursday, May 11th. And it will be also, which is regular hours, 7:30 to 4. Friday, May 12th, 7:30 to noontime. We will be open on Saturday, 9 to 3. And then Monday, 7:30 to 4. Tuesday, 7:30 to 6:30. And Wednesday, 7:30 to 4. And that allows any registered voter to walk into the Great Hall at Town Hall, give us your name, we check you in, you get a ballot for your precinct, you vote it, you place it in an envelope, and it will be counted on Election Day.
Perfect. And so I'm sure we'll have to have you back to do this again.
Oh, I would love to be back.
Right before the election. So, all right. So we have about 15 minutes left. And what, since you're here, what I wanted to do is take this time to talk about a number of articles that actually directly linked to the town clerk's office.
Before we do that, I did not mention that one of the other things that is on the election is the charter.
Oh, right.
The charter question. So before we get into town meeting, you know, part of the reason why we're offering in-person early voting is that we have the charter question on whether or not to adopt the proposed charter will be on that ballot, on all 18 ballots. So make sure people are aware.
And the charter, as you know, has been, the Charter Commission, I think, has been doing their work for well over a year now. They have a set of recommendations that they're taking to the residents to vote on.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there was a forum last week that PAC TV facilitated. There's a forum today, I believe, that's also, I think it's going to be at the library from what I was told. So I think there'll be future forums where folks can get more information as to what the components are with the proposed recommendations.
Correct.
So folks who are at home, I would suggest that you kind of keep your eyes and ears out. There'll be a number of different places that you can learn more about the charter.
Correct.
All right. Anything else since you're hosting this now? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we covered that.
No, thank you. So there are a number of articles that are related to the town clerk's office.
Yep.
But after we go through those, one thing I did want to talk with you about, only because you and I have dealt with this in the past, is Article 10, the personal bylaw one. That's seems like it's getting a lot of attention from town meeting members. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's jump right to Article 18. So Article 18 has something to do with late fees?
Yes. So one thing I learned upon coming here is dog licenses expire December 31st, you know, calendar year. Makes sense. It happened in our previous community. And then I guess the precedent or the history in the town is we highly encourage everyone to renew their dogs in December or in January, that moving, you know, as soon as they can. And the reason why, just as an aside, is dog licensing is not for the town to gain money. It's for public health, to make sure every dog has their up-to-date rabies shots. So that being said, we encourage everyone, and we sent out a lot of information about getting the dog licenses. But in my previous communities and many other Massachusetts communities we give you a deadline. To register the dog, or you get charged a late fee. And in Plymouth, I noticed that that's not here. So I'm requesting town meeting members to vote to add to the bylaw, to add the date of March 31st, that if you do not register your dog by March 31st, we apply a $15 late charge will apply.
Right, and again, that's just more of an incentive to get folks to submit their dog application so that we're tracking appropriately. And to your point, this isn't a revenue generator for the town of Plymouth, but it's more that, you know, at one point, long time ago, rabies was a problem in all of our communities. And so one way to prevent the spread of rabies is to get dogs vaccinated. And one way to ensure that dogs are vaccinated is to hold them accountable by licensure. So,
Correct.
So you're 100% right. I mean, this is all about public health. It's not about generating revenue for the town. So hopefully we get a positive support by town meeting and we can enact this Article 18.
Correct.
Article 19, again, goes back to the town clerk's office. Can you explain to folks what Article 19 is?
Sure. So has the town clerk, I deal a lot with the charter as well as the bylaws on how the town local government operates in the town of Plymouth. At one point, someone asked me when the town election was, and I looked at the bylaws, and it said the second Saturday in May. And I kind of thought to myself, because I remember when the election was last year, and I'm like, well, that wasn't the second Saturday in May. So I went to the charter, and the charter says the third Saturday in May. So we had a conflict. So I wanted to at least get that conflict out of the way. So I'm asking town meeting members to vote to amend the bylaws to reflect what the charter state the town election will be held on the third Saturday of May.
You know, it's interesting, Kelly, that you bring that up because you know, as you know, one of the first goals that we set as a group of administrators and with the select board support was to look at every one of our bylaws and every one of our policies and update them. And that could be anything from rescinding the entire policy because it's outdated or antiquated, amending it, which is what you're doing here today, or just keeping it the same. But, you know, it's my belief that everything should be looked at and should have at least a 2023 or a 2024 timestamp so that we know that everything is current. And we continue to do that. And we have some select board policies regarding mussels that goes back to the 80s. I think that's a little outdated, right?
I think so. I think so.
So so I appreciate you doing this because this is, again, one of the select board roles to start to go through all of our bylaws, general bylaws, and update them. But I do believe that this is linked to Article 4 in the special, which is also being advanced by the town clerk's office around codification. Codification isn't a word that we use every day, so can you explain to folks what we're trying to get at with that one?
Codification is to codify is to look at our bylaws and our charter to make sure that they're consistent with each other. I think I just pointed out that we have a big inconsistency between the two. In my previous community, we went through the exercise that we had a vendor, an outside company that took a look at our bylaws and made sure that they were consistent with state laws and within itself. And it worked. It was a very good project to go through. And they made recommendations, and we could either accept those recommendations, accept them with some changes, or say, no, we're going to keep it the way it is. And then at the end, we were able to approve the bylaws has one document and it was up to date. And the other thing that this vendor does is it also places the bylaws on the town website and makes it searchable. So if you want to find out about dog licensing, you just type in dog licensing and it brings it up. So it was a very easy format. And like I stated, when I got here in the fall and I saw some inconsistencies, I felt like it would be a great project for Plymouth to go through for codification. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think I had a chance to tell you this, that the former town clerk, Larry Pizer, said the last time it was done here in Plymouth was 1999. So it was about 24, 25 years ago that it's been done. So I felt like it would be, you know, a good method, or a good experience for us to go through and codify. Similar to looking at all the policies and procedures that we go through to make sure that they're up to date.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And I remember having gone through this process in the past, there were some folks that were skeptical that we were spending this money to codify all of our bylaws. But once the product was complete, when everyone realized what they gained from it, they really appreciated the effort. So I'm hoping we, again, get positive support at town meeting so that we can go through this process here.
Yep, and it will codify the bylaws along with the charter, whether it's the current charter because at the time that we go forward with this project, we will know which charter, either the proposed charter or the current charter, and it will do that comparison to the charter.
So it'll cross-reference.
Correct.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Good. So I know this article doesn't relate to you, but I want to just bring it up. So probably be mostly me talking, but I know you have experience in this as well. So please jump in wherever you think you can, Kelly. Article 10 under the annual is an article that is focused on moving authority from town meeting to the executive branch as it relates to the personal bylaw. So as you pointed out this morning, the personal bylaw is not embedded in the general bylaw.
Correct.
Right? But the personal bylaw has language in there that requires town meeting approval.
Correct.
And so this article, and I bring this up today because we've been getting a lot of phone calls from town meeting members, what is this article all about? And so what I've been telling folks is that if we're trying to create equity across all the things that we do, all the spectrum of government, one thing we don't have equity on is how we manage our personnel.
Correct.
And what I mean by that is, so we have about 8 unions, and the process when we deal with our unions is that, during the collective bargaining process, we meet with the union, we negotiate, myself, the Human Resources Department, and others negotiate with the union a collective bargaining agreement. That collective bargaining agreement then goes to the select board for ratification. And then finally it goes to town meeting for appropriation.
Correct.
That's not the case in what we're doing now with the personnel bylaw.
So just to clarify, it goes in front of town meeting not to approve the CBA or the collective bargaining.
Right.
It's only to finance it.
To appropriate.
Okay.
Right, to appropriate a sum of money, right,
Correct.
to finance
So
the
they're
CBA.
not approving it, they're just appropriating
No, thank you for
the money.
clarifying that, because that does make sense. So again, to recap, the town manager negotiates with the union, the select board ratifies the collective bargaining agreement, and then any sum of money that needs to be raised to support that CBA then goes to town meeting. That's not the case with our non-union employees. What happens is if we need to make a classification change, for example, that goes directly to town meeting. And we are there talking to town meeting members who, quite frankly, don't truly understand, how municipal employees and compensation works, trying to negotiate that with town meeting members. What we're trying to accomplish on the Article 10 is treat them like we do union employees. So the town manager brings a recommendation to the select board. The select board would ratify that recommendation if they agreed. And then if there was an appropriation of funds needed, that appropriation request would then go to town meeting.
Right.
So the bottom line with Article 10 is we're just trying to treat our non-union employees the same exact way as we already treat our union employees.
Yeah, and can I bring another example that might be very simple? Over the last couple of years, the state has a holiday known as Juneteenth. In the past, you're able to add that has in the CBA, in the collective bargaining agreements. The way the personnel bylaws are currently written, you need to go to town meeting to allow them to approve the holiday Juneteenth for a subset of employees in the town of Plymouth. So you got to wait for one of the 2 town meetings to happen, and you don't have that flexibility to do it, where you could just change the bylaw, have the recommend to change it, have the selectmen ratify it, and then it doesn't have any type of finance.
Right. That's a good point. It doesn't even have any financial implication at all, but we have to go to town meeting anyways to get them to approve it. So that's a great example.
Yeah, I think Plymouth, because it says bylaw, everyone has always thought that town meeting needs to approve it, but the Attorney General has come right out and said that they do not offer any opinions on any type of personnel bylaw because they don't have it in their purview. So to have it go to town meeting is an extra step that many communities in Massachusetts do not do.
Right. Again, it's a common practice here in Plymouth, but I would say this practice that in Plymouth is uncommon in other communities.
Correct.
That we have to take a personal bylaw to town meeting. So,
Correct.
I know town meeting members, especially those that are listening, are probably thinking, "Oh, you're taking the authority away." And I would counter that and say, "Yeah, there is some authority that's being removed, but think about it. Like, what authority really is it that you feel that an appropriation wouldn't allow you to be a part of that process?" You know
Correct.
what I mean? So we have a few minutes left, and one item I did want to talk about, Article 11 on the special, is in relationship to the special act that was approved in 2014, which created a special fund using meals tax dollars to fund the new town hall.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Beautiful town hall, just have to say.
It is a great town hall.
Yes.
And it's there are no dollars from the taxpayers that are being used other than the CPC funds, which are taxpayers. But the vast majority of the debt that's paid annually is paid through the meals tax. But this meals tax, the revenue that is generated from the meals tax goes into the special account. And then in 2040, this special account goes away. And one of our selectmen, John Mahoney, he thinks that this is the time that we want to maintain this account in perpetuity so that these meals tax dollars always go into this special account.
Mm-hmm.
And then so someone said, well, why do we need this beyond the payment of the town hall? And so that's the amendment. So the amendment to this Article 11 would allow these meals tax dollars, these revenues, to be put towards other facilities. So right now we're using the meals tax dollars to fund the town hall, but we do know that we're going to need a new school building or buildings at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We know we need at least 2 new fire stations in the future, and we have a very aged and degrading DPW building as well. So the amendment to this special legislation allows meals tax dollars to also be used for public safety, public education, and public works facilities as well. So,
and it's just not on the taxpayers of Plymouth, it's for all the visitors that come and eat in our wonderful restaurants here in Plymouth. Help us.
oh, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. You know, the vast majority of the dollars we get from meals tax is probably not from residents of town. Is you know, I mean, our number one industry is tourism. So in the summer, I would say at least 50%, if not more, of our meals tax revenue is coming from the tourism industry. So, you know, when we look at town hall, folks can say this isn't even being funded by residents. It's really being funded by folks that don't even live here. They're just visiting Plymouth. So it was a great use of those dollars. And so Article 11 really allows us to kind of open that up to other types of public facilities, but it keeps it in the sense so that we don't have to go back to the taxpayer and ask them to fund future buildings.
Correct.
So we're running out of time, and I just wanted to touch on a few of the different articles that are out there that folks are going to see on April 1st. So Kelly, I thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
And I'm
thank
sure
you.
I'll see you in early May to
Okay.
come back. We'll talk
Sounds
about the
like a
election.
plan.
And so for the folks at home, if you need more information on the town charter, the warrant, the budget, which is a big article at the town meeting, go to our website at www.plymouth-ma.gov. Thank you.